Hello everyone. Welcome to Chai and Book Girl. My name is Amanda. I am sorry for the lighting today. It is a Sunday afternoon and the sun is shining, but I can't get enough of it into this room. So we are just gonna have to do the best that we can today. So I apologize for the very bizarre lighting right now. So today, I know that sometimes we get into a reading slump. I feel that I just got myself out of a reading slump. And so today, if you are in a reading slump, I think I have the book that might get you out of it. Let's talk about it. So, reading slumps, why do they seem to always happen like right at the beginning of summertime? Like, is it the sun, like the hot weather? Like, in the summertime, I feel like we're all kind of gearing up for kind of long, lazy days, maybe on holiday, on vacation, sitting by the pool. And we kind of have that longer daylight where we get to, stay up and read. But I swear, every time it seems like I find myself either coming up or leading into summer, or right at the beginning of summer, I find myself in a reading slump. Same thing happened this year, and I just got myself out of it. Then I was texting with my bestest bookish friend, and she is in the middle of a reading slump right now. And I just am like, I don't know what it is about June, the beginning of summertime. So I thought that I would put together a list of books. I've read every single one of these books and I have put them into different genres. So if you are a romance reader, I have books that should get you out of a reading slump in romance. If you're a thriller reader, I have books that should get you out of a slump in thrillers, etc. So let's start. We are going to start in the romance category. My first get you out of a slump, reading slump, is the Kind of Secret Pineapple Island Swingers Resort. That's a really long title. This is by Jade Dolliston. So this is actually one of the books that I read that got me out of this most recent reading slump. This is very much a kind of, I would almost call it a beachy romance read. We have the ocean, we have palm trees, all of the things that mark this as kind of a beachy read. So this one is about a hockey player and a writer, which I love. The writer in this story is looking for inspiration. She's looking for something that's going to take this next book of hers over the top. And it's going to, she's a romance writer and she's written lots of books. So like this isn't her debut or anything, but she needs something to kind of freshen things up. You know what I mean? To kind of, draw more readers in and kind of excite her fan base. So she decides that she is going to take 3 weeks and she's going to go to this island resort. She does not realize when she is booking the resort that this is a swingers resort. The poor woman does not understand what upside down pineapples means. Hey, she's very cute. She's very funny and she's a little bit naive, but she's absolutely adorable and I loved her character. Then we have the hockey player. He is very popular. Everybody knows who he is. He's in the NHL. His face is everywhere. And he had a very public, very awful breakup with his ex-fiance. And they were supposed to get married and things happened and didn't end up getting married. It was a very public breakup. And so he is obviously devastated and very upset. And his teammates talk him into going on the honeymoon that they were supposed to go on, but aren't. And they talk him into going to this resort and going on the honeymoon just to get away from the public, away from it all, and to kind of reset. And that is where these two meet. I gobbled this book up. I could not stop reading it. It is my kind of romance. We have spice, She definitely writes really good spice. We have the humor in this, the comedy in this. We have banter. It's really, really good. And this is the book that started to pull me out of that reading slump. And I was able to finish this, I think, in 2 days. It's not that long. Let me give you a page count. It's 408 pages. So I guess it is a little bit on the longer side. But yeah, I chewed through this in 2 days. It was amazing. Okay, let's keep with the beachy romance reads, shall we? And let's go with my next pick that's going to pull you out of a reading slump. This is Blow Me Down by Katie McAllister. Another great read by the pool. Go out on your lounger with your slushy drink and read this. Again, not very long. Let's see how many pages this is. 359 pages, not that long, but just enough to get you out of that reading slump. Okay, so Blow Me Down. This is, if you know anything about Katie McAllister, if you have ever read her before, you know that the comedy and the humor in her books is top notch. In fact, I remember reading one of Katie McAllister's books. I remember reading it while I was soaking in the tub. And I almost drowned myself. I was laughing so hard out loud. Like, I mean, I had my husband knocking on the door, asking what was wrong with me. It was so funny. She writes amazing comedy, amazing humor. So Katie McAllister, if that's the kind of thing that you like, which I do, then she's a great one. This particular book, she gets pulled into a video game. This is a very popular video game. Like, her son plays it. So like this is a video game that everybody knows, everybody plays, and for some inexplicable reason, she is pulled into this video game. This video game is all about pirates and sunken treasure and pirate ships and booty and like all the things, right? It is based on this pirate theme. And so she finds herself in this world, in this video game. She doesn't know what is going on. And she finds herself in all of these hysterical situations. She finds herself a swashbuckler, and they go on this adventure. And it's a fantastic book. It's a really quick read. There's great romance. There's great spice. The humor, again, is top notch, and you will fly through this book. It sucks you in just like she gets sucked into this video game, and it really draws you into this world, and you're really invested in what happens next for her. And you really find yourself rooting for the two of them, even though you realize that one of them is a video game character, but you still root for their happily ever after, even though like in your mind, you're not sure how that's going to work. But Katie McAllister makes it work. So this is a great book. Should pull you out of your reading slump. Next, we have Magical Midlife Madness by K.F. Brain. Another fantastic lounge by the pool, beachy, I don't know that I would call this like a beachy read because it's not necessarily set at the beach, but this is another great one for laying on a lounger with a slushy drink or laying by the pool or something like that. This is a really good one that will take you out of your reality and suck you into this world. This is a supernatural book, obviously by the name. It has to do with magic. Oh, sorry, I had to take off my sweater. I was getting hot. Okay, so Magical Midlife Madness. Okay, so this book is about our female main character. She is kind of starting over a little bit. She is in her 40s, and her husband of many years has decided to become her ex-husband and move on to greener pastures. Her son has left for college, and so she finds herself kind of at a crossroads. She is alone, and so she decides that she is going to move to a new place, and she's going to get a new house. She's going to make new friends, and she's kind of going to start over. And she finds herself in this town that is full of people that she kind of never expected. And there is a supernatural element to this, and I don't really want to say much more about it, but she finds herself kind of embroiled in this town where there is magic and finds herself kind of in the middle of this kind of supernatural adventure, I guess, that she is in. It's really, really good. This is the first book of a series. It is an ongoing series. So just be aware of that. But this book is fantastic. I loved the fact that we kind of had a older female main character, kind of getting that a little bit more mature perspective, a little bit, kind of a different season in their life, but still able to kind of start over in midlife and still find magic and still, I guess, kind of start a new chapter in their life, if you will. So this was a fantastic book. I love this entire series. KF Green is one of my favorite authors. This series in particular is my favorite series by her. So this one, if you love magic, if you love a little bit of an older female main character, then this will definitely get you out of a reading slump. For our kind of lounging by the pool, beachy romance reads, we have Sinner's Retreat by Lauren Beale. This one is going to be for those of you in a reading slump that like your beachy romances a bit on the darker side and can handle a little bit of a macabre, a little bit of a morbid romance. This is going to be for you. So, Sinner's Retreat is the name of a getaway for serial killers, because even serial killers need a vacation. They need time away to recover, relax, rejuvenate, and Sinner's Retreat is where they go to do. This is about two serial killers who meet at Sinner's Retreat and they catch feelings for each other. This is I would say to go into this reading trigger warnings, because while I do love this book so much, it makes me laugh so hard. If you're not really into that, like I said, that kind of morbid, like serial killer, dark humor, then this may not be for you. This might not be what's going to pull you out of your reading slump. You may want to go with one of the other ones. But if you do like a bit of a dark romance, if you like your island vacation games with a bit of gore, then this one is going to be for you. I absolutely adored this book. This one, again, is part of a series. I believe that there are 4 books in the series. There might be a 5th one coming out soon. I can't quite remember, but all of them are fantastic. Again, if you kind of like that darker side to your romance, then this one is going to definitely pull you out of your reading slump. And last, for our poolside lounger beachy romance reads, we have Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. You probably have seen the movie. This is an older book. I absolutely adored the movie. It is one of my favorites. I could rewatch that. I have rewatched that dozens of times. It's just kind of a feel good, kind of a, you look at kind of how these crazy rich Asians live and all of the drama and all of the trauma. And you just are like, you know what? I'm doing okay. I love my life just the way it is. The book I think is better. The books are always better. But I feel like we get a little bit more in depth with the characters. I feel like we learn a lot more about them. I feel like we have a bit more empathy, a bit more sympathy for them and what they go through. Purpose of the author writing this book was to kind of show us a bit about the Asian culture and kind of how they view wealth and privilege and class and family. And I think we get a lot more into that. And I think we get a better understanding of that when we read the book. And so I would recommend this book. I had a dang good time reading it. I laughed, I cried. It was fantastic. So if this is the type of thing that excites you, this book will definitely get you out of a reading slump. Hey, let's move on to fantasy. If fantasy is your jam and you find yourself in a reading slump, these books should get you out of it. We are going to start with one of my favorites, Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. I always forget the Rees in the middle. Sarah Rees Brennan. Oh my gosh. When I read this book, I I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop reading this book. I stayed up until the wee hours of the morning because I had to know what happened next. Let me give you a page count on this because it is a bit long. It is 430 pages. So it is on the longer side, but it is absolutely fantastic. So this is one of those our female main character finds herself within the pages of her favorite book inexplicably. I love those kind of tropes in a book. I think that they're really interesting. So this one, though, kind of turns that trope on its head. We have our female main character, and in real life, she is dying. And so she makes a bargain for another chance at life, a second chance at life. But what that means is that she ends up inside of her favorite fictional book, and she takes it. She doesn't want to die. She wants to live. And so she finds herself in her favorite book. But instead of finding herself in the role of the female main character, like she thought she was going to be, she finds herself in the role of the villain. And so she's like, you know what? Great. I'm going to be the best villain that there ever was. They can get away with anything. They can say anything. They can kill whoever they want. And they're the villain, right? So that's just par for the course for them. So I'm going to change. I know everything that happens in this book. I'm going to change everybody's fate and make sure everybody has a happy ending as the villainess in this book. And it is absolutely fantastic. I loved every second of this book. She tries so hard to be like the greatest villainess ever, but she kind of has such a tender heart. She kind of has like a really empathetic heart that it sometimes backfires on her. In fact, the whole premise of the book at the very end, everything kind of blows up in her face, and unfortunately, because she wants everyone to be happy and she wants everything to work out just perfectly. And sometimes life doesn't do that. Sometimes books don't do that either, as we learn in this one. But this one is absolutely fantastic. I love the way that the characters are written. I found that there was a lot of humor, a lot of heart in this, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. If you enjoy fantasy, give this one a go because I think that this one could help you out of a reading slump. Okay, next we have Wildest Dreams by Kristen Ashley. This is the first book in her Fantasyland series. I believe there are 5 books in this series, and every single one of them is an absolute gem. I love this series. It is so good. This one is, let me get you a page count, 472 pages. So it is kind of a longer one. This is so good, though. This is epic fantasy at its best. We have our female main character, Finny. Her and her parents are very close, and unfortunately, her parents tragically die in a plane accident. And she discovers that there is a parallel universe to ours where each person in our universe has a twin in the parallel universe. And so she finds a witch in our universe to send her to the parallel universe so that she can be with her parents again. Her parents twins, if that makes sense. But she is so desperate to be with her parents again that she will do anything. And so she finds a witch to send her to the parallel universe so she can see her parents again. Unfortunately, what she does not realize is that her twin in the parallel universe is actually a princess. And this princess is slated to marry our male main character, who is known as the Drakkar. And she, through circumstances, the princess, her twin, the princess flees, and she ends up marrying the Drakkar in her place. And then her now husband that she has just married, she has no idea who this is. She's just barely been thrown into this parallel universe and finds herself married off. The man, the Drakkar, absolutely loathes his bride, the princess. They've never gotten along. They don't want to marry each other. And he is just furious that this whole thing had to happen, but political reasons, it had to be. So he decides that he doesn't even want to look upon her. He doesn't want to hear her voice. And so he takes her and transplants her to this kind of cabin in this frozen wasteland and is just going to forget about her. He doesn't want to know about her, doesn't want to see her, doesn't want to talk about her. Like she's just going to be forgotten. Not realizing that it is not the princess. It is actually our female main character from this world, and she knows what she's doing, and she's not going to let anybody forget about her, and she's going to survive, and she's not some fluffy princess. And so anyway, the book kind of goes from there. It is so good. It is so fun. The world building in this book, in all of the books in this series, is absolutely fantastic. You really get immersed in this world. This is a really good one. I know it's long, but you will find yourself immersed in this world and in this book, and I think you will love it, and it will get you out of your reading slump. Next, we have The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. I am sure everybody has heard of this one. It was doing the rounds on social media not that long ago. This is part of a series. So the main plot of this story is actually 2 books, and then kind of the side characters get their books in the 3rd and 4th book. So the first book, The Bridge Kingdom, is kind of about this, again, is one of those epic fantasy world building type things where we have a fantasy world, we have different characters. Our female main character has been trained from a very young age as an assassin by her kingdom, and she is going to be, as she grows more mature and gets older, she knows and has always known that she is going to be going to the Bridge Kingdom, and she needs him to fall in love with her and to want to marry her so that she can kill him. As an assassin, this is what she was trained for. This is what her job is. If she does not complete her job, then she herself will be killed. So this is all she knows. This is all she has been trained to do. And yet when she goes to the Bridge Kingdom and she meets the people there, and she meets him and his guards and everything else, she finds herself understanding that maybe the way that she has grown up and maybe the things that she's been told are not true. And there have been some lies that have been told to her. And so she now is on a mission to find out the truth and find out what's going on. This is very much a political intrigue book. It's very action-packed. There is romance in this, but it's very much politically motivated, a lot of intrigue. You kind of have to pay attention to what kingdoms are doing and who's an ally with who and who's against who, so that you can kind of understand what the chessboard looks like as this book plays out. But I know that a lot of people really enjoy that. I know a lot of people really enjoy that type of political intrigue. I enjoyed the heck out of this book. I enjoyed the romance. I enjoyed trying to figure out what was going on, the intrigue, how it was all going to play out. And I really enjoyed this book. I have read the first 2. I haven't read books 3 and 4, but the first 2 were absolutely wonderful. I actually listened to The Bridge Kingdom, the first one, on audio. And I do recommend it. I thought that the narrators did a really great job. So if you enjoy political intrigue, if you enjoy world building, fantasy, romantasy, then this might be the book for you to bring you out of that reading slump. Right. Next, we have Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. This book, I picked this book up on my Kindle. So, and the reason that I did was because I had listened to this book on audio. I really enjoyed it. It was absolutely fantastic, and I was looking for something, those same vibes, kind of that same level of fantasy and comedy and that type of thing. And this is what was recommended to me. So I went ahead and grabbed it. I read it, and I was so glad that I did. This is such a fun book. It's just fun all around. The humor in this is so dry. It's so witty. It's so sarcastic. It's absolutely fantastic. There is some romance in this, but it is very slow burn, very slow burn. So just be aware of that. This is the first in a series, and I am honestly not sure how many books she's planning on writing in this series. I thought it was going to be a trilogy, but now she has said there's going to be more. So I don't know how long this series is going to go. But even after reading the 3 books that she has out right now, this one is still my favorite. I absolutely love this book. So we have our female main character. She's down on her luck. She needs a job. She has her father who is ill. that she needs to take care of, and a younger sister who she also needs to take care of. She needs money. She needs work. So she is walking through the forest one evening, kind of lamenting, like, what am I going to do? When she comes upon a man bleeding in the forest, and she decides to help him. She decides to bind his wound and get him water and try to help him and try to be a good Samaritan. Well, this injured man happens to be the villain. And I say that in quotation marks because he literally is the villain. That's what everybody knows him by. He's got wanted posters on every tree trunk, and his name literally is the villain. It's like, don't you know who I am? I'm the villain. And she's like, oh, no, I actually had no idea who you were. Am I supposed to know who you are? And of course, he's offended. And she's like, hey, she's like, if you need help, like I'm really good at like promoting people. Like she's almost like trying to be like his social media coordinator, like trying to get the word out, like, hey, I'm the villain. And anyway, she's like, I could organize your schedule. Like I could help you, make sure that if you've got someone in the dungeon, but, you also have, like evil mastermind plans that you need to, get written up. I can make sure that, those things are, not scheduled at the same time. And like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. So anyway, he ends up giving her a job as his assistant. So assistant to the villain. It is absolutely so funny. It is so cute. It is told from multiple points of view, which I love. I love getting that glimpse into other people's heads, what they're thinking. I ate this book up. I loved this book so much. I couldn't wait till the second one came out and then the third one. But again, I think that this one is the best out of all the ones that I've read so far. So if you love some humor and you want a book that is just a roaring good time, this one should get you out of your reading slump. Let's move on to thrillers. Where are my thriller readers at? So for thrillers, the first book that I have is Final Girls by Riley Sager. Now, hear me out. I know Riley Sager is kind of a divisive author in thriller circles. You either love him or you hate him. I happen to love him. I happen to think that Riley Sager writes really great thrillers. This is a pure thriller. This is actually the book that I read that got me into the Final Girls trope, which is absolutely one of my favorites. I love that. It really gives me a lot of nostalgia for those kind of horror slasher type 80s films, those campy slasher films that I absolutely adore. They're some of my favorites. It makes me think of Laurie from Halloween, the ultimate final girl. And so not realizing that like that was a trope in books, just thinking that, those were the types of, horror movies that I loved. But since realizing after I read this book that it was a trope, it is now one of my favorite book tropes. So Final Girls by Riley Sager. So it is a thriller, exactly what it says it is. It's about final girls. So we have a group of final girls. They are friends. They kind of check in on one another, I guess. They kind of make sure that, each other is okay, I guess. After each of them kind of have their own horrific trauma and events that happen to them, thereby making them a final girl. And so anyway, one by one, they are dying. And so our female main character is trying to discover what is going on. There is a mystery happening. Who is taking out these final girls, and is she next? And so the whole thriller part of this is trying to figure out what is going on. And then we find out as the book goes on that it actually ties into what happened to her and why she became a final girl. That whole event, that whole trauma surrounding her is actually what is happening to all of these final girls. And so I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with it. I don't want to say that like the twist at the end like completely shocked me. It like wasn't like it wasn't one of those, but I enjoyed it all the same. I thought it was good. I was like, okay, yeah, like that's good. I like that. I like the way that ties in. That's excellent. And so I really enjoyed this. So if you like thrillers, especially if you like the final girl trope, I think this will get you out of reading slump. Okay, next we have theme music by T. Marie Vandelli. I hope I'm saying that right. So I read this book many, many years ago, and my flabbers were gasted. I was just reading this and I was just like, page. If I didn't read it in one sitting, I read it in two. Like I was fully engaged in this book. It was so good and so like traumatic. So like I was like, oh my god, oh, I was like on the edge of my seat during this book. Oh my gosh. So basically what this is we have our female main character, and when she was a child in her childhood home, basically her entire family was killed, was slaughtered, and she was the only one left alive. It was horrible, it was terrible, and it obviously made news and the whole thing anyway. And so she ended up leaving. So she left it behind, tried to leave her past behind. Well, as she's gotten older, she kind of needs closure. And so she goes back to her hometown, and she actually goes back to her childhood home. And she ends up staying in her childhood home to try and figure out what happened and to try and gain some closure. We have a little bit of a supernatural element to this, but you kind of wonder, you're like, is this a supernatural element, or is somebody doing this to try and scare her away? And so you kind of go back and forth because you're not quite sure which it is. And it was really great. It scared me. I was like full of tension, like, oh my gosh, look behind you, you know, that type of thing. So if you enjoy that type of book, I think this will look at you out of a reading slump. Okay, next we have The Last Word by Taylor Adams. So I have read 2 books now from Taylor Adams. He is a new to me author that I just started reading this year. And The Last Word was the first one that I read, and I gave it 5 stars. The second one that I read by Taylor Adams, For Last Breath, either one of those, fantastic. Absolutely read them. They will get you out of a reading slump. But I'm going to tell you about The Last Word. Oh my gosh, I'm getting Alzheimer's, you guys. What is going on in my brain? The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I gave this one 5 stars. It was absolutely fantastic. So we have our female main character. She is taken on kind of a house sitting job for a home next to this, on a beach, kind of on the ocean, very atmospheric, very creepy, very foggy. As you're reading it, you're like, oh yeah, I feel the dread. Like I feel like there's something wrong here, right? And so she is watching this home, and she's kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's not a whole lot going on. There is a neighbor, but he is so far away that she needs to use a telescope to see him. And so she likes that. Like she wants to be kind of isolated because she's going through some things. She's kind of going through her own trauma. She's kind of going through a couple of life things, and she needs the isolation. And so that it's kind of what she signed up for. And so she's not like surprised by this or like doesn't feel scared or anything, because this is kind of what she wanted. However, she's bored. She's bored out of her mind. I mean, what else do you expect? So she decides that she is going to download some books on her e-reader. She downloads this horror thriller book and reads it, and it is absolute trash. She leaves a 1-star review for this book. And the author sees it and has some things to say about her 1-star review that are not very nice. And things progress from there. She starts to get knocks on her walls. She starts to feel like she's being watched. She starts to smell odd smells. She starts to get emails from this author, threatening email. The way that Taylor Adams writes this book, you can feel the buildup of the tension and just the creepy dread, just like the awful, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? What is happening? The twist at this book, perfection. It was so good. I enjoyed it. I was on the edge of my seat. I think I read this in one go. Did I read this in one go? It's like 1 or 2 days. I inhaled it. It was so good. This was definitely a ride. It was definitely a thrill ride. So if that sounds like right up your alley, I think this one will get you out of your reading slump. Next, we have Suburban Hell by Maureen Kilmer. So this is for all you kind of thriller with a touch of horror, with kind of a touch of supernatural in there, with just a dash of humor. This is for you. So Suburban Hell is about a suburbia group of wives, and they are they? They are friends, and they decide that they are going to build a she shed in one of the wives' backyard. And as they are digging digging to make a foundation for the she shed for them, they dig up something not of this world. And this entity ends up possessing one of them. And this is the story of the rest of the suburban wives trying to unpossess their friend, who is just making a mess of not only their friendship, but their marriages, their neighborhood, the whole suburbia cul-de-sac. I mean, everything. It's a nightmare. And it's definitely, it's definitely a thriller in the fact that you don't really know, like, is something bad going to happen? Like, what is this possessed? Is she going to hurt somebody? Is she after somebody? It's kind of like there's tension there. Like, you're not quite sure what she's going to do. There's a lot of heart to this. Obviously, they're friends, and so they want to help. They want to help their friend. There's humor in this. Some of the things that they do to try and unpossess their friend are absolutely hysterical. And it's a really good time, but but we've got the supernatural element. So I know that some people in the thriller genre don't like the supernatural elements, so you may want to skip this one if you don't like that, but this definitely has supernatural elements to it. So if that's you, if you enjoy that and you like kind of a twisty story with supernatural elements but with a bit of heart, a bit of humor, then try this one out, and this one might get you out of your reading slump. The last one we have for thriller is Accelerant by Tara Ellis. So I actually got this book as a ARC from the author, and I was so shocked. I was so surprised at how much I loved it. I am not really a big lover of I I can read them and they're fine, but they're not my fave. But this one I really really liked. It wasn't like a police procedural. It was more of like a fire marshal procedural. It was a lot of like, who are the fire marshals? Who are the fire department? How do they work together? How does a whole fire unit work? And like at the state and the county and the city levels. And anyway, it gets very in depth on how these people work together and what they do and how they keep communities safe. It's set in the Pacific Northwest, which I found very interesting because I am from the Pacific Northwest. I was raised in the Pacific Northwest. And so a lot of these places that were mentioned in the book, I've actually been there. I know that place. And so that was kind of a tug on my heart for understanding the landscape in the area. And I really enjoyed, so let me tell you the premise of this. So the premise of this is that there is a arsonist, and he is targeting service workers that are kind of in the line of defense. So he's targeting 911 operators, he's targeting firefighters, he's targeting police officers, those people that keep communities safe. And he's targeting them for a specific reason, but we don't understand that reason. And so we have a murderer, an arsonist, and then our other antagonist or the protagonist is a fire marshal. And she has history with this arsonist. In fact, this arsonist actually murdered her fiance years ago. And so now he's back, and she's the fire marshal. And so it's this constant push and pull because to her, it feels like it's personal. And so she's trying to keep everybody safe, but at the same time, it feels so personal to her that she's kind of breaking rules, and she's kind of going off protocol and doing things that she probably shouldn't be doing because she thinks that's going to be the best way to stop him. And so she's getting too close. And so she maybe isn't doing things to the best of her ability. Anyway, and it all builds up and builds up and builds up to this, climactic ending where we finally find out who this arsonist is. And I would not have guessed it in a million years. So anyway, it is a procedural. You do learn a lot about what goes on behind the scenes, especially in the fire department and in kind of the 911 ambulance type aspects. But I found it absolutely fascinating. I was interested in the whole thing, especially how these people come together in their own little tight-knit community, how they help each other, how they love each other, how they support each other. It was a glimpse into a world that I had never thought about and never appreciated so much as I did when I was reading this book. So it's a really good one. If you enjoy procedurals, I would recommend this, and it might get you out of reading slump. And last but not least, we have horror. Where are my horror girlies at? That's me. So first we have How to Survive Camping, The Man with No Shadow by Bonnie Quinn. So she has a couple of books in the How to Survive Camping world. This is the first one that I read. I also have another one that I have not read, but this one is a lot of fun. It has a lot of supernatural elements in it. It's about a woman who is trying to carry on her family legacy with this campground that they own. She is now the owner of the campground, and she is trying to balance her campers, her human campers, who, she relies on as, trying to make a livelihood off of this campground. So she wants them to come, she wants them to have a good time, she wants them to enjoy her campground. But at the same time, she has supernatural creatures that also inhabit her campground. And she has to make sure that they are also appeased and are happy and getting what they need so that they don't eat her campers and that they don't go on a rampage, and that they are living as harmoniously as possible. She has kind of this family book of legend and lore that she follows to make sure that the creatures and the supernatural inhabitants of the campground are happy, and that she is doing what she needs to make them happy. And this is kind of a story, almost like a campfire story, combined with kind of a set of rules and regulations on how to camp at her campground. So I really enjoyed this book. It was a lot of fun, had a lot of terror, a lot of horror in it, but also it was very interesting the way that she played with kind of this legends and, kind of just the kind of stories that you tell around the campfire, kind of those type of legends, and the way she put it into the book. So really enjoyed that one. His Final Girl by Brooklyn Ann. This is your quintessential summer camping slasher horror book. It is everything that you love about Friday the 13th, about Jason, about it is everything that you love about a campy slasher in a book. So we have a group of campers that have gone to summer camp, and it's in the 80s, and so they're all kind of dressed appropriately for the 80s. They're listening to great 80s music, and they're doing all the 80s things at summer camp. And there is an old abandoned mine that is in this camp. Well, not in the camp, but close to the camp. And something horrifying and supernatural has come to life out of this mine and is stalking and killing the campers. We have our female main character. We also have a male main character, and they have a budding romantic relationship, which is very sweet and very cute. I really enjoyed it. If you know anything about the 80s slasher horror films, you know that there is gratuitous sex in those films, no matter that they're at a teenage summer camp or not. There is those elements in this book as well, so just be aware of that going in. It is very true to genre in that element, but these two, in their budding cute little love relationship, they decide that they are going to have to be the ones that solve this mystery and that take care of this murder that has come to kill all of the campers and, of course, all of the adults. And the adults, of course, are so much stupider than the kids are. The kids have it all figured out, but the adults are stupid. So, of course, they get picked off one by one. And it's so quintessentially 80s horror. And I loved every minute of it. This one should get you out of a reading slump if you're just looking for that. I need a summer camp slasher book. This will do it for you. My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Again, Grady Hendrix is another author that is very divisive. You either love him or you hate him. I happen to love him. Literally, guys, I'll read anything. I don't really hate a lot of things. This particular horror novel, I really, really enjoyed. There is a lot of horror, there's a lot of body horror, there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of terror, there is a lot of all of the things that you want in your horror novel. It's all there, it's all great. Grady Hendrix writes really great descriptive scenes for the genre that are really great. What really makes this book stick out in my mind, though, is the story of the best friends, though. It has so much heart, it has so much, it is at its core, at its heart, is the story of these two best friends. And it's so poignant and it's so sweet. And it's such a life story because you can see yourself and you can see your best friend, right, from childhood. You see those elements in this story from start to finish. I mean, even though my best friend from childhood was never like possessed, I mean, so not like that aspect, but just like the emotional and the feelings of having a best friend, right? And those, the ride or die, and you would do anything to help them because you're best friends. It's that type of element. So we have our two main characters, they are best friends. And one night they are out in the woods, and one of them gets left behind in this kind of abandoned cabin-esque building structure that is falling down. And the next morning, the friends meet up again, and she's like, what happened to you? And her best friend is different. There's something different about her. She is not her best friend any longer. And she has been possessed by something that got to her the night before in this abandoned, rundown building. And it is really, the whole story is absolutely terrifying. It is all of the things that this girl does because she's possessed by whatever this is, the devil, a demon, I don't even know, by this horrible creature, and is making her do horrible, horrible things. And yet her best friend never gives up on her, never gives up on her. She tries everything to try and help her best friend. And it's really sweet. It's horrifying, but it's sweet. And at the end of the book, I actually cried. I do not cry. Like, I do not shed tears. But I actually cried at the end of this book because it was just so, it was sweet, but it was bittersweet. And I could see myself in this book, just the way that life carries on. Whether your childhood has been sunshine and roses with a best friend or whether it hasn't and you lost your best friend or whatever has happened, life trudges on. And anyway, so I shed some tears at the end of this book. So if you are looking for a horror, this is definitely a horror. So, if that type of thing does not agree with you, especially body horror, maybe give this one a skip. But if you enjoy that type of thing and are looking for a poignant yet horrifying book, then give this one a try and it might take you out of your reading slump. Next, we have How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates. So this book was a crazy ride. I like Darcy Coates. She is a great horror writer. She's more of a scary story type writer. And I enjoy her stories. She writes a lot of haunted house, a lot of that type of a thing. And I really enjoy her stories. This one is way different from that. I was not expecting where this one went. It was unhinged and off the rails. We have our female main character. We get glimpses in the beginning of the story. She was a child when she was part of a cult. And when she was a child, she was removed from the cult. And so the memories that she has are from a child's perspective, and they're very unreliable, the memories that we see and the memories that she has, because again, they're from a child. But she has had to grow up with this knowledge and kind of with this trauma. But she has made some friends and she is doing okay with her life and with what has happened. And her friends have been invited to this island by a very well-known influencer. And this influencer has invited his followers to a huge party that he is throwing for his fans on this island. It's free lodging, free drinks, free food, free everything for his fans. You start learning about this island, and it has its own backstory and its own trauma about what happened on this island, and it ties into the cult, which ties to our female main character, and the whole thing. It's very convoluted. It gets crazy, it gets gory, it gets horrifying. I mean, literally how bad things can get. She takes it to the extreme. I was like, holy crap, what is going on right now? This book is out of control. But at the end, she kind of wraps things up. And I really like it when you kind of have a string here and a string there and a string there, and you kind of get little glimpses of things throughout the book. And at the end, the author kind of all comes and ties it together in a nice big bow. And that's kind of how this book went. So I did enjoy this book. It is definitely a thriller. There are mysteries and things going on all over the place. Who done it? What the heck is going on? How does this tie into her past? So there's definitely thriller aspects to this. There's definitely horror aspects to this. Oh my goodness. The blood, the creepy terror of this island is just, it's so creepy. Then we have the games, very Hunger Games, very vicious. Definitely a look into human nature when survival is on the line. Yeah. How bad things can get. If you want to go for a roller coaster ride of unhingedness, this one might take you out of your reading slump. Okay, you guys, I have given you like 437 books to take you out of your reading slump in all different genres. I've given you my best. I have done the best that I can for you. If these books do not take you out of a reading slump, I do not know what to tell you, because these books brought me out of reading slumps, and I hope it can do the same for you. Reading slumps are no fun, and I hope that you can come out of it. I hope that this helped you. I have tried my very best for you. And until next time, happy reading. Get out of those slumps, people. Come on. Read your way through. Let's do this together. Carry on. Bye.